Welcome to Getting Intimate with Intimacy. I am Jamie London Wollberg. My pronouns are he, they.
I'm Jayne, she, her.
And I am May. This is a space for deep exploration of the mind, body, and soul connection.
Getting Intimate with Intimacy covers consistent multimedia content spanning all forms of intimacy, from sexual to intellectual, and everything in between.
Our content is created for all beings, bodies, and abilities, age 18 and up.
And it can be enjoyed on YouTube as well as OnlyFans and InsightTimer. The links will be in the description on for our live streams.
We're really looking forward to experiencing the infinite layers of intimacy with you.
And remember, intimacy starts within.
And we're back. Namaste, everyone. Welcome back to Getting Intimate with Intimacy. Happy 2025. Today, we are so excited to be back with you for our 9th episode, which is What Are My Intimacy Goals for 2025? And we're going to talk all about that. But first, I'm Jamie, he, they pronouns.
I'm Jayne, she, her.
And I am May.
And we are ready to dive in because intimacy goals are important to have if you want to improve upon your intimacy. But first, let's do a backtrack in terms of what happened at the end of last year, right? Because we left you with episode 8, which was talking about our intimacy goals for the holidays. So I'm curious, May, how did the holidays go for you in terms of intimacy? Did you feel intimate?
Well, it was very different scenario for me. It was challenging because it was in a different country. I didn't have my own space. I didn't have certain things that make myself and my body comfortable in a way that allows me easily to be intimate with myself. So it was challenging most of the time. But I knew at the same time that it was a new scenario. So there was room for adventure. There was room for exploration. And I did my best and found out more things about myself that are necessary, that need to be in place, so that for me it's easy to get intimate with myself and with others. So it has been overall wonderful and enriching experience in Tanzania for me.
That's powerful. What about you, KJ?
Yeah,
I just want to say Tanzania. I mean, that's so cool, May, that you had that opportunity.
yes,
and totally. I understand being out of your element because I spent a year abroad when I was 19. So I understand that experience pretty well. For me, I had some interesting experiences. I think I did mention in our last episode that we would have my partner's children for 3 weeks, the 10-year-old and the 13-year-old, which went really well. We had fun with them. Dad was able to spend, valuable time with his kiddos, and that made things a little. There was a little less privacy, right, for Lee and I, and for me, and I still made time. Like, hey, I need some downtime. We made time, to sit the kids down with a movie downstairs and say, hey, we're going to be up in our room. We just need some us time, just to connect, right? Talk,
of course,
other things. But we, it was, what was interesting to me, what I guess caught me off guard, was the fact that I found myself missing my dad. This grief we've talked about before, as grief is a journey, right? It's a different kind of intimacy that you experience when you're grieving. But I allowed myself that space and even sharing it with others, right? First of all, I was processing for myself. I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting to miss dad like this. And that's okay. I cried. I let the tears, go. I ended up having wonderful conversations, honestly, with passengers in Lyft, both over the holidays and just this last week, about losing parents to cancer, right? And then holding space, for each other. And they were grateful for those conversations. They were like, wow, it was so great to meet you today. Thank you. Or this conversation really helped me. So I love that can be part of my processing, right? I get to see a lot of people when I drive Lyft. It's one of the things I love. I get to connect with folks from all different walks and areas and places in life. And just being vulnerable, since I've practiced that level of intimacy with myself, of vulnerability, right? And being able to be authentic, even with people I don't know, it's so empowering and so affirming. That's how I connect deeply with other people in a short amount of time. Is like, hey, guess what? Here's what's real, raw, and honest for me right now. And maybe that's something that they needed to hear, or they needed to hold space for me. So I did use that tool, I guess, and I also have the goal of allowing even more integration time and space for myself. We would kind of go with the kids. I still had to work. Lee was doing part-time work. So, you do your best. And I know we're going to talk more about upcoming goals, but so that was just kind of, it was a different experience of intimacy, not in a bad way. We just had to make adjustments and make conscious, intentionally prioritize us time, he and I.
That makes total sense. And what I'm resonating with in both of your beautiful shares is that there was a lot of vulnerability and there was a lot of interruption, if you will, in terms of what one might have thought that the intimacy might be like,
or being used to, or whatever.
Yeah, or even in the sense that actually it's an interruption exactly how you thought, and maybe even deeper. And that was very much my story. So I had a very, very intense end to last year. If you were watching episode 8, you know that I had a family vacation and went on that family vacation. And unfortunately, a lot of what I was concerned about or prepared for mentally and emotionally for the trip escalated to be 10 times that, and I ended up having very challenging big arguments with people that I was not like the people who I didn't think I was going to be fighting with. And having issues with was the focal point. And it was rough. I ended up spending both less and more time alone than I imagined. I was very enmeshed in familial intimacy, right? So that cuts out a lot of points of intimacy, of course, sexual intimacy. That wasn't the theme, right? Of this excursion. And ultimately, the intimacy with myself came to emotional and mental focus when I was alone. And there were definitely highlight moments during the trip where I had very special mental and emotional intimacy and even physical intimacy that were highlights with various people in the family. But by the time that the end of the trip came, I didn't know this, but I ended up with COVID, and I have been completely MIA for the last 7-8 weeks. And as a result, my intimacy at the end of the year was with the astral realm. And so that kind of just totally segued what I thought intimacy was going to really look like. And what I learned from the intimacy was a lot of intimacy, though we look to intimacy to be something that's very comforting, a lot of intimacy is actually not just about being comfortable. A lot of intimacy requires you to be very uncomfortable. And that's what I was learning. I was learning how to be deeply uncomfortable and realize that through shared uncomfortable experiences, your intimacy deepens. By the end of the trip, I did feel closer to everyone on the trip, even though things didn't go a lot the way that I hoped. It wasn't like a mushy kind of intimacy as much as it was a gratitude. And that's, I think, where family comes in, right? We've talked about this before. No matter what type of family structure you have or believe in, whatever you call family, you're going to have disagreements, right? You're going to have uncomfortable moments. You're going to have arguments. That's a part of family. And a part of family is also sticking it out, right? And doing the best that you can in the way that's safe and feels good for you to not run. I almost left the trip at a certain point because that's how bad it got, and came back to New York. So yeah, it was a doozy, but you know what? 2025 is going to be a better year. So
I just wanted to say something in relation with what you just said, because I think it's so important. I think most of our lives, so many people think that not having a conflict with a person is the best way to be in a relationship with someone. But if you truly master to manage gracefully a conflict, that's where the relationship gets really at a deep and beautiful and enriching point or place for both individuals. So I don't think anymore that avoiding topics or trying to avoid a person or anything of any kind of avoidance is going to help you either grow or get the relationship in a better place. You just need to find a way. With some people, you have to be very, very delicate. It's true to bring out certain topics, but still get yourself in a way that you can improve as a personal goal, as to I am going to bring this very delicate topic and I'm just going to shine through all the conversation in the most respectful and loving way until we reach a better point or a better place. And normally, even if you don't agree about what to do or what you want or what you prefer, at least the process of being heard and being supported and allowing everyone to speak their truth, I think that makes the relationship obviously improve in a way.
oh
So
yeah, if I was more intentional with a lot of the conversations that I had, things may have been different. But a lot of things were coming from literally
unexpected.
in the
Yeah,
moment,
yeah.
unexpected things that were going on. But I'm curious, May, what are your intimacy goals for 2025? How are you planning on approaching them? And feel free to go into a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level.
So yeah, the way that I have divided them is between the goals of intimacy with myself, the goals of intimacy with partners and lovers, not because necessarily there are going to be many, but there could be, and the rest of the humans. And I'm very clearly separating ones with the others, because with my partners or lovers, there is the element of sexual intimacy that I don't have with anybody else, and there's the element of romanticism that I don't have with anybody else. That doesn't mean that these are more or less important people in my life. It's just that there are elements in our relationship that make that difference. So with myself, I want to continue to invest time, alone time in nature, because nature has always uplifted and improved my intimacy at all levels. And ideally, I would like to have my own place in the countryside, and a house where there are natural elements as well, because they make my energy rise, like wood or stone or glass, that I can experience as much natural light as I want, as much as darkness. So also that's something that I really missed in Tanzania, that was very obvious to me, is that constant exposure to a lot of light for me really drains my energy. I need natural light as much as I need darkness or something close to darkness every day. So this is very important to me. And silence, provide silence for myself, or very soft, natural sounds as well. And being naked as much as I can. This is also it's a way to connect with my, I would say physical intimacy the most. Because I think we've mentioned it before, like most people are only naked when they're going to get a shower or when they're going to have sex, but the rest of the time is like, what is the need to be naked? Well, it's an experience in and of itself, actually. Whether you go to sleep naked or you do some tasks around the house naked, if it's not very cold, and I mean, it helps me, and I think it's something to be experienced by anybody, because this is actually like the core of our physical self is naked. It's like you cannot go any more authentic or any more raw or any more beautiful than that in a way. And also I think in the sensuality, if you approach the nakedness in a certain way, through very consciously through your true core energy, it becomes a very sensual experience. Bathing also, like for me, being in contact with water, either in the sea or at home in the places where there is a bathtub, it's a self-intimate moment, and it really brings my energy up. So I think that for myself, mostly is that whether I like it or not, I'm someone who is so sensitive that my environment affects my energy. I do my best to not be more affected than the way that my nervous system goes, so as to not make any drama when I cannot improve the external conditions, whether it's sound, smell, temperature, amount of light, all of these things. I have realized, and probably these holidays the most, how much it affects my energy. And so as much as I can improve my environment to be the most aligned possible with my nervous system and my inner being, the better. And then when it's time to accept, because there's nothing that I can do about the external environmental circumstances or whatever, to just bring myself to as much as acceptance as I can. Then another goal, so that was for like self-intimacy. Another goal for me is to do a month length course on Tantra somewhere on the planet. I'm having a look at them right now, and could be Tantra, could be sacred sexuality, could be intimacy. Most likely will be Tantra because they're mostly focused on that, but there's also different kinds of Tantra. I need to do more investigation. And so before the end of this year, this is one of the things that I want to give myself in terms of to expand my knowledge on the topic, and also the inner experience of intimacy. And in relation to the goals with lovers and partners, well, it goes through being as honest and transparent as possible, because whenever I am just purely myself is where I get to experience levels of intimacy very, very high with the other person without making much effort, so long as the other person is capable of embracing me as I am. And that is something that I find myself responsible for. I no longer engage sexually with people who have trouble embracing me as I am. Once that happens, then I allow myself to be who I am, in terms of foolishness, in terms of crying, whatever, in terms of sexual desire, whatever comes through me, I express it, so long as I don't think that it's completely inappropriate. So the other person is talking about a parent that passed away. It's not the place or the moment for me to express a sexual desire or whatever. So having that in mind, out of extreme situations, I always express what I desire or how I feel, to see if I can connect more deeply with the other person, to see if the other person is on the same level. And if they are, to get onto that level. And if they're not, to understand why, or engage into a deeper conversation out of curiosity. And that feels super important to me. I have realized that the more that I allow myself to be who I am, the more I have the experience of heaven on earth easily, just by being purely myself. And that happens also when I have my alone time, and when I am surrounded with people who can embrace me easily and have also done enough inner work or open enough to experience other humans as they are, with not much labeling or much prejudice or judgment or whatever. And so the transparency and playfulness, for example, seems to be something that is really important to me. Joking, when it comes to joking and when it comes to sexual intimacy, both things, like if the element of play is not super relevant for the other person, we may not be a good match, because it actually is very, very, very important to me. So that's something that I really want to get better at or improve with my partners or lovers. And if that is not the case, well, then for me, it's not that I have realized that I don't have to bring myself to a more serious kind of being because of the other person. It's like, it's so important that whether either the other person comes to my level or very close to my level of playfulness, or we are not a good match. That's how I have realized is so important to me. And the physical contact, whether there are words or no words, is again like a love language for me. Caressing, yes, like touching the other person and being touched by the other person, looking in the eyes, like being really present, quality time with the other person. I'm not so interested in having people around, but I'm really interested in, whenever I meet someone, I'm fully with that person, and I expect that from the other person. And because when you're fully present, then whatever needs to happen for that's my belief, for both of us, growth and expansion is going to happen. But if you're not really present, then it's more like a programmed interaction kind of thing. And I think I don't want to take more time. I think more or less that would be with the rest of the people that I don't have sexual intimacy with, or any element of romanticism. I want my relationships to improve in terms of truthfulness, support, respect, care, playfulness as well, and yes, lovingness in general. Lovingness in all of its possible forms. Whether I met them one day ago or 1 year ago, it doesn't matter. It's like, I'm here to love you and to be loved by you, ideally. But if not, me loving you as you are is like a great goal. And it's the spiritual intimacy probably that is so important to me. That experiencing coming closer to God through loving everything that comes into my experience, kind of thing. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing so deeply. There's so many good nuggets there. And I love how you broke down all the different layers between
Yeah.
self and, romantic partners and others. KJ, what are your intimacy goals for 2025?
Well, being the Scorpio that I am, I'm going to do kind of the opposite of what Maria did.
Okay.
Because what comes to mind first is, for me, is all of the levels of intimacy, as we've talked about, their layers, right? When you're talking about connecting with other people, so in this case, romantic, which will include mental and emotional, spiritual intimacy before we get to physical and sexual intimacy. Because I do desire to connect more with more romantic and intimate partners this year. I desire that not only for myself, but also for my partner, for him, but also I would like us to be able to find some fun, playful situations. Like May said, the element of playfulness is so important, actually, when you are trying to connect with other humans in general, but especially adults when you want to have fun, right? You want to have sexy new experiences. It's very valuable. I just want to back that up for what May said. It's so helpful to be able to approach it with playfulness, right? Instead of making this an awkward situation or, oh my goodness, there's so much pressure. And that kind of happens more easily when you have built this foundation, right? Doesn't matter how long that is, but as long as you have the connection, for myself, if I have a connection with somebody where I feel that spark, but we've already established some trust with mental, emotional, and spiritual intimacy, then it's much easier to just flow organically into the physical intimacy. And physical intimacy is a great step leading to sexual intimacy, right? Like May said, like touching, flirtatious, touching, hugging, all of that stuff is a stepping stone, right, to the next level. And so I definitely desire more of that. I actually just met a new girlfriend a couple of weeks ago, so I'm really enjoying this new relationship energy. What has made it clear that the best connections for me are organic. I didn't meet her on a dating app. Okay, so it just happened, right? I absolutely asked the universe for this experience, and then it kind of came so fast around a corner that I was like, "Whoa, is this real?" And I'm super, grateful and enjoying that, and just looking to expand my experiences with romantic intimacy this coming year for sure. Then to move on to, as we love to say, intimacy starts within. And so my experience over the holidays and over this beginning of the year have also highlighted, how I desire to expand the different levels of intimacy with myself. Especially physically wise, like I desire better self-care. May was talking about baths. That's another thing that I also want to add back in, because every time I do take that time, I feel so much better. And it's best when, for me, if I put on like relaxing music or frequency music with a certain, intention. And then sometimes I'll sing in the bathtub. And like, that's something that overall I've been, is a goal as well, is to be singing more, to be seen singing, to be heard, to find places, to sing publicly, whether that's karaoke or singing at a spiritual center for money, which is an opportunity that I could take advantage of if I get the courage to audition, right? So that's all, what am I making time for? And am I letting fear hold me back? But my girlfriend is a musician. She plays the bass. And so it's been a wonderful kind of reawakening of my musical, not musical talent so much, but just my love of music and my past with playing music in school and stuff, and things that I really enjoyed, and that I actually would like to, explore again if I could get my hands on an instrument, French horn, for instance. So that, and being creative is another form of intimacy, right? And that's something that I've felt stressed or blocked on, right? With life, all of the things that life throws at us, again, having the kids for 3 weeks and being kind of in survival mode, I just want to kind of backpedal a little bit and make the time intentionally to spend time doing creative things, whether that's singing, whether it's some kind of art project. I'm actually going to go and paint with this elder lady today who is a fantastic artist in her 80s, self-taught. So embracing those things that light me up, or there's something that I've always wanted to learn. I've never had any formal training in art, not even a drawing class, not the basics, but I love painting. It's something that has always I've felt drawn to. My grandmother was a gifted painter. So just kind of refocusing on those things that are kind of dual purpose. They are self-care and they're building my self-intimacy, right, on the different levels. And then also incorporating the time for spiritual practices that will help me and my spiritual intimacy and my connection to, my higher power and to the one. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
Love that.
Thank you.
I love that. Thank you for your share. I'm hearing so many different things between the two of you that really resonate with me. Of course, round the clock, my experience has very much been, the within experience. I have had, especially in my adult life, a predominantly self-intimate journey. And I would not call that by choice, but I would call that by choices that I made with the best of what was possible for me. And so, interestingly, ending the year and starting the new year, with just pretty much pure self-intimacy through a really challenging time, really woke me to a lot of awareness of basically what I refused to continue with and without. And so, because the number one thing that was glaring the whole time was that I was alone during my healing experience, and that was my fault because of how I navigated various choices with relationships in 2024. I did not put enough time into romantic connection, and so there was no sort of person who's in love with me, who's willing to be there and nurse me through COVID kind of thing. And we also just live in a different world where someone having a minor cold and someone not wanting to get sick is a way more serious, bigger endeavor, and there's a lot more unknown. So for me this year, my focus, of course, I will still maintain, because I still believe in nurturing my self-intimacy. A lot of that for me is going to look more like that courage that KJ was speaking to, not for me for singing in spiritual places, but for me to be courageous in taking up space in terms of really speaking up for what it is that I desire and holding very firmly on these boundaries and manifesting them. In terms of intimacy with others, I am looking for mutual. I'm looking for an experience of what mutual is. I'm not talking about in a role play moment where one is being more dominant and that's a thing or whatever. I'm talking about overall having a mutual experience, and I want to end the year feeling like my intimacy is manifesting physically around me and that I do not feel loneliness. And I usually say to people, when you are feeling lonely, you could have a room filled with a million people and still feel loneliness, and I stand by that. What I'm talking about is I already know how to be with myself alone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm actually focused on what it is to be less alone and to learn how to integrate that. By the end of this year, I want to have 2 partners and different people that I'm playing with. And that's a lot of intimacy and engagement in person that I haven't had in a really, really long time. And I haven't had a very profound relationship in a decade and a half. And something that I can really lean into. So I want to nurture that, and I want to nurture more intimacy with family, and I really want to focus on the newness. I've been reminded time and time again through this experience that I thrive in new. I love to experience people experiencing their joy and passions and sharing that with me and doing new things together. The highlight of my trip with my family were experiences that were all new, and sharing in them these new experiences together and what that feels like. Spiritually, I, of course, am always going deeper and deeper and deeper. I am getting closer and closer to seeing extra dimensional experiences and experiencing other things that I've never experienced or in a deeper way. And I'm definitely looking to expand into something that's going to blow my fucking mind. Like, I want to be utterly shocked at a gift that expands to a level that is mind blowing, or something that's going to just be the moreness. So, to recap, I'm looking for mutual moreness, newness, and learning what it's like to not be alone. And that is what I'm looking for. So those are my goals.
Thank
And
you
I
for
love all
sharing.
of that for you, Jamie.
Yeah.
Yes. And I just remembered when you're talking about spiritual intimacy, I will also be gifting myself Reiki training this year. So Reiki 1 and 2. I'm very excited for the upgrades that will come with that. Hopefully, well, the plan is to have that accomplished in the next 6 months. So
I love
definitely
that.
excited.
I love that for you.
And I love everything that you said too. And I'm definitely, here to hold that vision for you. Always here for that for you, for more intimacy.
Thank you.
Sure, the same here, dear. Any kind, of course.
I appreciate that. And for those who are watching, listening, whenever you are, let us know what your intimacy goals are for 2025. Remember, words are spells. So when you put this out here, we're holding that vision with you, and you are committing, because your commitment is critical in order to go forward. And I think at this point, let's touch a little bit upon our favorite intimacy tools right now. And I think some of the things that may come up may surprise people. So May, what are some of the intimacy tools that you're loving, that you're going to be leaning into this year?
I think I've mentioned in terms of self-intimacy, several of them or all of them, I don't know. Silence, writing with my left hand, dancing, self-sexual connection that can take different forms, but I like to be aware of my sexual energy and to play with it in different ways. Baths and meditation. These are mainly the ones that I use to connect with myself. And then once I'm connected with myself and another person is connected with themselves, there's not much more than you have to do than being present and let yourself go wherever the creator wants both of you to go, or three of you, or whatever.
I love that. Those are some great tools. What about you, KJ?
Music, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of not so much. Well, it's a little bit more. It is a little branching out. It's a little revisiting of a genre of music that historically hasn't been, say, my first pick. I've dipped into a little bit with Lee. It's rock, rock and roll.
I love it. I love it.
I'm a lot more 90s emo alternative than I was allowed to be in the 90s. Okay, so I totally am. I'm here for 3 Days Grace, Green Day, Shinedown. Anyways, I've got this new Pandora station, and I'm listening to rock, and it's actually been connecting with my passengers too. So that's been fun. So just feeling into the different vibrations, and dancing, like you said. I always like a little car dance, but that has actually been part of my intention as well, is to just spend more time dancing with myself at home. Because that is a great way for embodiment for myself, to then have that level of physical intimacy and at the same time, joy and celebration and silliness, just let loose, right? And move. And I know that I need more movement with my body. So that's another part of my self-care, tools that I'm intending, to just be working out, whether that's walking, dancing, adding back in a little bit of gym time as I am able. But but also baths, like you said, baths are great to lead to masturbation, or during or after. And masturbation, like that's something I've been surprised is, again, like I said, this relationship happened so organically with my girlfriend. I forgot what it's like to feel that intense passion and desire before you connect sexually, right? And the flirting and sexting back and forth, and the building up, and then self pleasure. And it's, to me, and I don't know if either of you have shared this experience, when I have more partners or even just interested parties, like sexy fun connections, like I said before, I'm like, if I'm barely meeting somebody or getting to know somebody, I actually tend to masturbate more, which,
You told us before. Yes, yes. It
make the world.
happens to many people. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that is another like fun, energetic, component to that. And just, it's a circle, right? All of the intimacy breeds more intimacy, and feeling, better about myself and in my body. So those are, great intimacy tools for sure.
Oh, I love that. I love all of these. I'm into it. Well, obviously, I'm surrounded by spiritual tools. I completed the digital version of my manifestation board. I have another very important component that I will be participating and completing hopefully this weekend, if not into the first week. And through that, there are panels with all the areas of my life, and the level of pictures of spiritual tools that I want this year is extreme, and most of them are musical related. I am getting my crystal bowl set this year. I really thought it was going to happen last year. It didn't happen. And a whole bunch of things. I am now, as of 2 days ago, in love with an instrument called the crystal harp. If you do not know what that is, look it up. It's going to blow your fucking mind.
Okay.
It essentially reacts. There are these crystal tubes, and they react with touch, especially if you use water. And oh my god, I just can't. It's like I must have it. All these things. In terms of toys, other toys. I am really looking to get a much better strap on situation that is specifically something that is heated, yes, that exists now. So that way it feels more natural for my partner or partners and myself. This was like something that was brought up to me, and then I was like, "Oh shit, Google."
A self-heated strap-on. That's what you're saying.
So what happens is there is an electronic component that heats it, and then the silicone and your body maintain it. So the concept is, because usually any sort of silicone strap-on or anything like that is going to be cold, which can be fun as well. Or it's going to just be sort of like room temperature. And that actually makes it harder for it to feel real. And so hearing that from cisgender people with biological phalluses, that is something that like I immediately took note of. I could have, of course, spent tons of time freaking out about that, but instead I was like, nope, this is something that I'm going to solve. It exists. I'm going to figure that out. And getting other toys and tools to explore more. And the biggest other tools that I have for intimacy emotionally and mentally are my intimacy lists. And I'm sure that I will talk about this another time. So I have 4 specific things. I have a kindness journal, which I've talked about before. When anyone sends any beautiful messages to me, audio messages, videos, whatever, I pop it into this. And when I am sad as fuck, I look, or like doubting myself, I look through my list. I've been keeping this for years. And then I have 3 other lists that I just completely redid. The first list is, what do I desire in partners romantically and sexually? The second list is, what do I desire in my friendships? And the third list is, what do I desire in my collaborations? And having that list, looking at that, I realized it was all of these different love languages. And again, like before, I've realized that quality time is a love language that I need a lot more of, that I wasn't getting. And so I was like, okay, I want more quality time, but I need to be careful and make sure that I'm attracting the people who I want to be having the quality time with.
Yeah, for sure.
So putting that through really put me into a space of deep introspection and internal
And
intimacy
clarity.
with myself and self-intimacy and clarity, where I was like, okay, what is it that I feel like I'm lacking? What is it that I want more of? And making these lists again is a commitment. So those are the tools that are landing with me. And I'm so excited to hear what tools you all are interested in leaning into. So let us know in the chat whenever you are watching this. Speaking of, KJ, let's go through these messages.
Alice,
thanks for watching. And thanks for the roses. I always love getting virtual flowers.
Yeah. Oh, this was a joke.
Try and get some. What would be a bad time?
This was when May was talking about serious.
Oh, yeah, serious conversation. Best sex is silly sex. If you can laugh while you're intimate, it's a great connection for sure. 1,000% recommend and agree. Yes, I do have that with my fiance, and we love it. Thank you for the support. I do need to audition. I've been getting nudges from other people at the center as well. It's all about the organic frequency. So awesome. Way to go. Creativity brings so much intimacy on so many levels. Thank you for your beautiful share. Thank you so much, Raven.
Thank you, Raven.
Alice says, I spend a lot of time by myself. Not a lot of that time am I lonely. That's a different energy for sure. For sure. Let's go get it. Oh, you just took Reiki with Jamie. Lucky you.
Oh.
Awesome. Great. I'm so glad that was an awesome experience. And I'm very excited
for both of you
as well. Mutual is the intimacy goal for me. Of course, I think all of us can agree on that. Yes. A heated strap. Genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was new as well.
Yes. I mean, that's new information and I'm excited about it as well. That is genius. We live 100%. In the future. How fun.
We do. We do. Speaking of the future, we have a Mondo announcement. So we realized, based on all of our desires of intimacy for 2025, that we need to remove getting in with intimacy from our podcast going live on the weekend days. So that way we can have those days to focus on the intimacy with those. And that's just what aligns with our schedule. This may change in the future, but we're going to try it out for a little while. And so get excited because we are going to be doing the weekly live streams now on Tuesdays. We are going to, I'm going to actually put this across the screen. So it's going to be Tuesdays, 11:30 a.m. MST, 1:30 p.m. EST, 7:30 p.m. CET, starting on episode 10, which is going to air on February 11th. So we are taking a week and a half break. We'll still probably put out some content on OnlyFans and things, but we're going to be taking a break from the podcast to reset for February 11th. It's going to be the 2/11 portal. We're excited about it. 2/11/2025. Our episode is going to be what is creative intimacy, and we are so excited to tap into that and talk more about that. That's an intimacy that I do not hear people talking about. We've talked a little bit about it here, but we're really going to dive in and do a whole episode just focused on that. So remember, we will be back on February 11th, Tuesday, and we are so excited to talk to you about creative intimacy. Again, you can be following us on OnlyFans, YouTube, InsightTimer. We need to put some content on InsightTimer. That's coming. And we are going to keep it up. If you are interested in hiring us to speak or coach or any of the things, definitely check out our website. I'm going to banner that across right now, wake-in.com/intimacy.
And it'll be in the show notes.
Yes, in the show notes. Thank you, KJ. So good about that. So, yeah, we're super looking forward to seeing you on February 11th. And remember, intimacy
starts from within.
We love you unconditionally.
We love you. See you soon.
Namaste.
Take care.
Be well.